So, what is your disability?
My disability is called vertebrobasilar dolichoectasia.
To put it shortly, invisible disabilities suck. So let's talk about that. According to the Invisible Disabilities Association, they define invisible disability as a physical, mental, or neurological condition that is not visible from the outside. And unfortunately, the very fact that these symptoms are invisible can lead to misunderstandings, false perceptions, and judgments. Also, it affects a lot of people. About 28.5% of Americans live with some kind of invisible illness. That's about 3 in every 10 people, so you might know someone who has an invisible disability, even if you don't know it. What I want to address today is the marginalization of people with invisible disabilities. There's a lot more to it than you may think, because this problem is almost as hidden as the disability itself. In order to explain that, I want to take a look at people who have been through this. Now, I don't have an invisible disability, but I do know someone very close to me who does, and I want to share his story, along with many others. Let me introduce you to my dad, Charlie, who has so graciously agreed to do an interview with me about his experience with invisible disabilities. My dad is a big inspiration to me because of his strength in facing whatever life throws at him. He's a pretty humble guy, and I know he doesn't like talking about himself much, but I felt that his story needed to be shared.
I started getting the double vision symptoms in November of 2017 when I was playing tennis with your brother. I would look at the ball and I was seeing 2 tennis balls. Like I'm seeing 2 of you now. My disability is called vertebrobasilar dolichoectasia. And what it is it's an enlarged artery. It is elongated, stretched, and it has moved. And it's compressing against parts of my brain, which are giving me symptoms of double vision, vertigo, pain. There's like a cognitive skill issue with it. If I'm doing heavy work mentally, my brain starts to hurt as I try to focus and concentrate. If I physically do anything, it can take less than 15 minutes for my brain to start hurting. I have had to readjust my life to where, number one, it was affecting my work. I was in extreme pain when I was working on like computer reports. Trying to concentrate at work was very difficult. It was just painful. So I had to stop working. On top of that, my personal activities like skiing, hiking, anything where my heart rate increases, I had to stop and try to do different things.
My dad is not alone here. Like I said before, a lot of people experience some kind of invisible disability, and they have a lot to say about it. On the Invisible Disabilities Association website, they have a page that consists of numerous quotes from people with invisible disabilities and what they have to say about it. Here are some of those quotes. My family won't accept the fact of my illness that I've had for almost 9 years. I feel so angry at the doctors, don't know what's wrong with me, and my husband is not always patient with the situation. I feel very guilty that I can't do the things for my family that I used to. People living with invisible disabilities and illnesses have a lot to deal with already. And then you add on top of that the additional social and financial struggles, which is a lot of where the marginalization comes in. For starters, people doubt.
Don't you just want to go out and live a normal, healthy life? Those are grandpa's symptoms. You're too young to be sick like
That's
that.
not a real diagnosis. I've never heard of it.
It's all in your head. Remember, mind over matter.
Stop pretending. There's nothing wrong with you.
You're one of those?
Really? You need to lay down
Quit
again?
being lazy.
If you eat more and move
don't
more,
look sick.
you will feel better. You should see my
Yeah,
chiropractor.
but my pain's real.
I wish I had a disease that made me
You're
skinny.
too young to have
It
all
must be
this
nice
going
not
on.
to work.
There's nothing
nothing
wrong
wrong
with you.
It's all in your head.
Because people doubt, oftentimes people with invisible disabilities get accused of faking it. Something you have to understand is that these disabilities and illnesses are not always the extreme we may think about. Some disabilities are less severe than others, but that doesn't make them any less real.
On multiple occasions, I've been aggressively confronted by strangers who witnessed me stand from my chair with accusations of faking my disability. But as it so happens, people have invaded my space about it even if I don't stand up in front of them. Doing as little as laughing with a friend while sitting in my chair or driving my car, I still get aggressive accusations from strangers.
Now, another part of this marginalization is the financial side of things, and it's not just the cost of medicine or treatments that hurts. It's also long-term disability insurance and lawyers and possibly multiple doctors. I asked my dad in the interview what his advice was to people going through invisible disabilities, and this was the first thing he told me.
Do your research on lawyers right away. Because long-term disability companies will deny everybody. I wouldn't put it past them to find a way to figure out that, oh, you're able to work.
It seems like the very people who are supposed to be helping are the ones doing a lot of the damage. My dad has been struggling with long-term disability insurance for a few years now, and it is still an ongoing battle. Here's a rundown of what has happened so far. He got approved for short-term disability. Then he applied for Social Security disability insurance, which only has about a 34% acceptance rate. He got approved for long-term disability, and then he got denied Social Security. So he hired a lawyer to file reconsideration of Social Security, and then got discontinued from long-term disability. But then he got approved for Social Security. So he hired a long-term disability lawyer to appeal the discontinuation of long-term disability. And then long-term disability insurance agreed to reverse the denial. And all in the mix are doctor's visits, tried and failed treatments and medicine, and the omnipresent risk of being denied long-term disability insurance again and again and again. The way long-term disability insurance makes decisions like this is from doctors' reports, and they can cherry pick all they want in order to say that you are able to work in some way. For reference of another example like this, take the court case Smith v. Reliance Standard Life Insurance Company. Frederick Smith had to stop working after 40 years because he was having a series of strokes and heart problems. At first, his insurance company, Reliance, covered him, but 3 years later, they said Smith was no longer disabled. After going through the appeal process and getting denied again, Smith eventually took the case to court. The court found that Reliance was using faulty and misleading quotes from reports suggesting that Smith could maybe possibly work, and completely ignoring the majority of information saying he would never be able to work again. Okay, so how do we fix all this? How can we stop the marginalization of people with invisible disabilities and illnesses? Well, first, here are some things to consider.
Most people, including me, don't want people to know that they're disabled or have a disability or have a problem. They want to try to be as normal as possible. One thing that I'm guilty of, and I know other people are guilty of, is when they have a disability is asking for help. Asking for help to do something. I'm the type of person I've always just done it. And it's really difficult. Probably the most difficult thing for me to do is ask anybody to say, hey, help me with this, or help with that, or help that.
People with invisible disabilities work hard every day in ways we may not even understand. However, they still need our help, regardless if they explicitly ask for it or not. Here are some steps we can take to help solve the problem of marginalization.
When you acknowledge that the health warrior is fighting a hard battle, you mitigate their suffering just a little bit. There's something about being listened to and understood even just a little that validates our challenges, that acknowledges these are real.
Media representation is currently pretty unreliable when it comes to disabilities. But we have tremendous power to share our own narratives, bringing our bodies, our experiences into the spotlight, talking about our conditions online, the wide spectrums that we can be on, the possible fluidity of our disabilities, demanding our rightful accommodations when we are in public, looking right into the face of hate and ignorance, and using the aids we need to when we need to.
Once you learn that somebody has a disability of some sort, do your homework and try to understand what they're going through, because most people aren't going to tell you what they're going through. You know, they're not going to sit there and feed you all kinds of bad stuff that's going on. They may just disappear. They may just like go into another room, or, you know. And so when that happens, I say just learn what the person's going through and understand more.
If you are someone experiencing an invisible disability or illness, here is some advice my dad has to offer.
Don't dwell on the things you can't do. I mean, that's going to be with every disability, because obviously there's going to be things that you can't do. Focus on the things that you can do, and, you know, don't, you know, stop believing in yourself. Help others if you can. Helping others is rewarding. You know, just because you have a disability doesn't mean that somebody else could use your, you know, some of your skills that you might have, your brain, your, you know, experience, whatever. So don't look back, look forward to what you can do.
People with invisible disabilities and illnesses are really strong. They fight every single day, and they shouldn't have to do it alone. In order to solve this problem, the solution needs to start in ourselves and in our mindset and understanding. Whether you know someone with an invisible disability or not, or even if you want to go into the field of medicine or health insurance, be prepared to look into a world that you might not be able to see. I was going to say any closing thoughts.
No.
Okay. Well, thanks for doing this interview with me.
You're welcome. Thank you for interviewing me. Now I need a nap.